Hi, I'm Christopher Moss, and in this video I want to show you how Dragon Dictate version 3 performs on the Mac. So out of the box, what do you get with Dragon Dictate 3 and how does it perform straight after an install? Now, a while back, like a year and a half ago, I did a review on Dragon Naturally Speaking 11.5. I was back in January of 2012, and I got a few funny comments on that, and one of them at the bottom here, it says, one guy thought I was doing it for a commercial, and a few of them were just basically saying it's all right, but how's it work in the real world? And truthfully, I actually use it quite frequently, and it does perform really well, or it did on the PC. But as I've just swapped over to using a Mac, I'm just basically testing it out, and as you can see here, I've got an unregistered version of version 3. I think version 4 is out, but I can't find a demo for it, so until I've tried it on the Mac, I'm not really willing to invest money more than anything into it. And the other thing is, I couldn't copy my profile across from my PC, so that's a bit frustrating because I spent a lot of time building up my voice recognition profile on there, and now I've got to go back through it all again. So when you first install, as I think I showed in the last video, you've got to turn your mic on, and then you've got to start talking, and it gives you like some prompts as to what you've got to say, and then from there it builds up like your profile. So I'll show you that in action now. Unlike people, computers need help separating speech sounds from other sounds, full stop. When you speak to a computer, you should be in a place without too much noise, full stop. Then, you must speak clearly into a microphone that has been placed in the right position, full stop. If you do this, the computer will hear you just fine, and not get confused by the other noises around you, full stop. Yeah, and kind of frustratingly, that lasts quite a long time. You've got to do quite a lot of those steps. I think there's maybe 30 different panes that you've got to read through. You can just use it without doing that, but as you can probably tell from my accent, it's got to learn from something, and I don't speak the Queen's English, so you've got to kind of teach the computer how your voice reacts and whatnot. Now, the other thing is, excuse me, one of the things is if you use words that it doesn't quite understand, swear words or just like local turns of phrase that go with your local dialect, it struggles with that sort of stuff. So you end up actually going in at the top, and you go into vocabulary editor, I think it is. And you can see I've added in a couple on here, so like my company name, which it didn't get, and then the name of like some programming stuff that I do. So you do actually have to put in a bit of time and effort into actually making this worth. Oh, there we go, import. I bet that's how you do it. Yeah, that's probably how you import from the other profile. I'll probably do that, and then save myself from having to re-import everything, but that's going to take some time. But anyway, what I'm going to do is go through the rest of the voice training stuff, and then I'll resume the video after that, and we'll have a look at how it actually performs in the real world. Okay, so I've just finished going through the pre-text thing where you've got to read it through, in the voice training, whatever it's called, and it got to the last screen, and then it finished about 2 sentences before the end, and it's like you don't actually need to read the entire story. It's like, yeah, but all but 2 lines, you've got to read it. Anyway, as I saw in the first video, there is a way to re-import my profile from the other computer, but that's going to take ages. So the thing is, I'm just going to show you this as it is now when it's finished. And the reason I've reinstalled it on this is I've got quite a real world reason for using this now, and that is that I'm trying to write a book. I say trying to, I've been trying to write it for a while, and it just comes in fits and bursts really. It's something that's in my head rather than anywhere else, and it's just about dictating that out. I find it easier than typing. I'm not like the best typer in the world. I don't use all my fingers and that, so just being able to just talk it out is really beneficial to me. The one thing that I will say though is, when you saw me reading through the prompts that it gives, that's completely different to how I actually use Drag and Dictate. So the thing that I find is when you're reading it and someone else has already written it, you can speak it quite clearly and fluently, and you're just reading back what someone's already put, so it comes out naturally. And like one of the things it tells you is like speak a bit like a newscaster or a newsreader on the news on the telly. But in reality, when you're thinking about something and you're trying to speak it at the same time, what you find is your sentences are like a bit stop start, and then it doesn't flow as well. And also in my case, what I find is my mind gets like almost caught up watching the text appear on the screen, and I find myself pausing, waiting for the text to sort of shoot out onto the screen, and then once that's happened, I find myself able to carry on dictating. So like if I did it blindfolded, I would probably, well, aside from a ton of mistakes probably, but I would find that the way I use it would be different because you're watching it happen. It's almost like you get a bit mesmerised by watching the things that you say appear on the screen. And also, if you spot a mistake, it really messes up your continuity. Oh, right, okay, so let's just get rid of that. No, what the God, I don't want any of that. Right, next. Finish. No, it won't even let me do it. Do you want to exit? Yes, I do. Stupid. There's pointless animations as well. Right, so cool. Here we go. So I'm going to just turn on the dictate, and I'm just going to read some stuff out off the top of my head, and then we'll see where we get. And yeah, let's give that a whirl. Okay, let's try this. Come on, dragon. Full stop. Not the best introduction, but overall, Drag and Dictate is a pretty good piece of software for dictating documents straight from the top of your head, full stop. One thing that I would like to see in the software is more robots, and also more cool features such as automatically reading the things that are in my head and not having to think about what I've got to say. Rather, delete word, comma, rather, comma, I would like Drag and Dictate to read my thoughts and turn them into a book without me having to think. Delete word, delete word. Yeah, so that's probably actually a pretty accurate thing about how I actually use Dragon, to be honest. You can see, like at the start, you get this thing where it just doesn't seem to want to start. Normally where I get something like it says, come on Dragon, because I'm trying to talk to it and it doesn't work. But yeah, so then you've got to go back through it basically and revise what you've dictated. Now it's pretty good if you're like a doctor. When I worked in the NHS, I saw there's like a medical edition of this. God knows why, but for some reason it's massively more expensive. Probably because it's got a lot of big crazy words in it that for all the drugs and medicines and that. But the doctors used to have like a dictaphone, and they would record onto the dictaphone and then pass it off to a secretary who would then type it up. And sometimes they'd let me have a listen to what they were writing because they couldn't understand the damn thing the doctor was saying. So, you know what they say about doctors' handwriting, well, it's also true about doctors' speech a lot of the time as well. So this would come into one of the things that I've seen in Drag and Dictate is that you can now feed in like a WAV file or an MP3 or whatever, and it will go through the process the same as if you was talking it in, but it will talk it into like a dictated document, and then if you like, you've got a secretary or whatever, they can go back through it and just change it up. Because as you can see, when you get this stuff about Billy word, delete word, it doesn't always get it right, and it doesn't get it right for quite a long time after you've first installed it. You've really got to work hard at your profile, and I'm not even what I was trying to do there is not actually look at the text as I was talking it through, because I was trying to think about just garbage off the top of my head and, put it down onto the document. And it's difficult. It's like a completely different way of working, but honestly it's pretty cool, especially once you get your profile sorted out. But the other thing I do use it for, and we'll try again, is like more technical stuff. And yeah, you'll really see it struggle at this point. But what I'll do now is just do something more like programming. Like that's pretty much what I do for a job. That's not pretty much, that is what I do for a job. So I will now go through and show you something a little bit more technical, and we'll see how much it struggles there. Okay, so what you're about to see is me reading something I've written for my blog. I didn't actually dictate this. I wrote it on a train, but that's completely irrelevant. Anyway, I'm just going to read a couple of the paragraphs, and because the reason being that there's some technical gobbledygook in here, and it's a good example, but I'm going to read it from a different screen, so yeah, that's what's going on here. Right, so let's click go. Let's try that again. Stupid. Right. The Symfony framework has, in my opinion, a lack of decent third-party reading material generally available, full stop. One quick search of Amazon will show you what I mean, full stop. That's not to say that there aren't any books available, but many of them are self-published, or published on these newfangled platforms that old-timers like me aren't aware of, full stop. The chapter I was most looking forward to, chapter 6, sharing your extensions, delete : is a super hard delete word super hard to read on the Kindle with the XML dumps displaying horribly, full stop. New paragraph. As I typed the code out into my IDE and could see each piece on one line instead of 5 or more, the whole chapter became clearer, full stop. Not good for reading on the train though, full stop. New paragraph. That said, I don't think the config can be done in YAML when sharing bundles, open brackets, configuration.php, close brackets, but do feel free to correct me if I am wrong on that one, ? New paragraph. Altogether though, chapter 6 was super useful to me, and something I had found, shall we say, unenlightening on the Symfony website. Okay, so that's a pretty good example of something that I would probably write, and if you've not fallen asleep at this point, then full credit. But you can see that if you was listening to what I was saying, you will be able to hear the words that I say that this thing just doesn't get right. So YAML, it turned into gamble. Symfony, that's spelt wrong, but I mean that's one of those things where it's as right as it's going to be, I guess. But because you're using like this word that is like a brand, it's never going to get it right. But there is a way to go through this, and I've actually already done it, which is a little bit frustrating. That's in Word, so we just need to go back to dictate. Stupid Mac. Where are we? Dictate. And then you go in like here, and you can go into vocabulary editor. And I've already put, it's because I put in Symfony 2 as opposed to just Symfony. So what you can do is just do like, add a new word and call it Symfony. Okay. And then you've got to train it to, how do you do it? There's a way to train it to do so. I've already been through this. Train, here we are. So you click this, Symfony, close that, and then once we try again, should find that this gets it right this time. So Symfony,
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's life with Dragon. It's a pretty good example of what it's actually like, to be honest. There is a way around doing this, and this is only something I've really found out because I've used it quite a lot. But you go into vocabulary training again. New voice training. Where were we? Vocabulary editor, and then you type in the one that you don't want, and then it should come up. Come on, computer. Right, so it finds that, and we're getting the one with the uppercase. So we go in here, we go to train. Symphony. Right, and what we've done there is just put two different sort of pronunciations. So symphony, and then like, as it should be, is just symphony. A little bit of a hack, I guess. Symphony. Symphony. Yeah, and that's the sort of thing that makes you want to put the thing out the window, to be honest. But yeah, that's I guess it's a really good example of how I actually use it, and the frustrations that come with it, and the reason I actually want to re-import my profile, because I've been through a lot of these things already on the previous version, and if I have to go through them again, it'll just be really frustrating. I've got like maybe about 500 additions in my dictionary. So yeah, it's good that when I've been through this video, I've spotted how to do that. It does take me ages to get it because I'll have to go to my old computer and stuff. But at least when you're upgrading it to the next version or whatever, you don't need to start again from scratch. But yeah, overall, I really like it. It's one of them things where I find it funny that people who are on YouTube think that I was actually just doing it for like a paid advertising or something. Couldn't be more wrong. To be honest, it's just one of the things that's for me a total time saver. To a point, but then there's also the fact that you've got to sort of sit there and talk to yourself, which makes you feel like a complete fool. But once you get over that, it's quite good. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy using it. You give it a try. Oh, the one other thing that I will add in is the microphone that you use matters immensely. So I'm using a Heil Heil PR40 microphone, and it's a really good microphone. I use it because I do a heck of a lot of videos, but the standard MacBook microphone works okay, but it's because like this microphone's right next to my mouth, and the MacBook microphone's sort of built into the computer, but you're sat a foot or two away from it. It's one of them where it also gets a lot of background noise, so it's even worse if you're just using the built-in mic. So the mic quality does matter. And if you're thinking like, Jesus, it's been pretty bad, and you're using a decent mic, then yeah, it can be almost very frustrating to use it without a good mic. So that's just an extra consideration. But overall, I quite like it, and probably do another video in a few years over the next version when it hopefully will read my thoughts. Okay, I've been Christopher Moss. Thank you very much for watching.